Okay, so for my first question, I want to take us back to 2020, if that's okay, viewers and listeners. So let's go back. 2020. Thousands of people marched and protested in the city of Portland, demanding racial justice. Some protesters called for police reform. Some called for defunding to drastically shrink the size of the police budget, while others called for complete abolition. Nearly 4 years later, some elected officials still think of police response when they hear the phrase public safety. For Imagine Black, we believe that definition is too narrow. So my first question to you is, what is your definition of community safety? And what are your plans to reimagine public safety?
That's a great question, and it's something that I've been actively working to broaden that definition since I've been in office. Community safety to me is beyond just our first responders. They are certainly part of that definition, but community safety means the presence of feeling safe and secure for everyone. It means no matter whether you're housed or unhoused, where you live, what you look like, what language you speak, or who you love, we all deserve to feel a sense of safety in our community, and we all deserve to know that our city has a vested interest in us being safe as well, and that we are, as a city, are responsive to where the community is at in that moment. And so for me, that also means getting down 911 calls. We do want to make sure that we have enough first responders, so then when things happen, emergencies happen, or we need officers to fight crimes, that's we have that capacity there. But we have to broaden that to be more of to include upstream strategies as well, and that's why I'm very, very invested in things that we know work, like making sure that we eliminate poverty, that we have educational access for all, that we are making sure that we have affordable or free childcare, that preschool education is available for everyone equitably, that people can afford to live and work in the city of Portland. All these, and housing is available for everyone. All these components create the conditions for the presence of safety, and also the presence of the ability to self-determine people's future without having the burden, the emotional burden, the physiological burden of these disparities and obstacles that we see right now. I also think that we need to think in new ways, like Portland Street Response is a part of community safety, differentiated responses for different reasons. Youth violence prevention programs are another need. And when I first started, right out of the gate, I worked very hard and actively built a coalition on council to invest $4 million into youth violence prevention options. So we need to not devalue strategies that are traditionally seen as only community-based. They have merit and they work for a reason, and we need to start investing in things that we see proven in the community. So,
Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate hearing a very holistic approach to it. Thank you. You mentioned something during your introduction that was really exciting to me. It was about participatory democracy. And I'm curious, knowing that in 2020 there was so much attention to the budget, or so many folks had a lot to say, and maybe this was their first time ever trying to get involved in civic engagement. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some plans or just your vision for how community members can get involved if elected as mayor, and kind of what do you see as the participatory vision?
Yeah, thank you. Hands down, one of the best ways to look at where we want to put our intention and our resources, obviously through community budgeting, right? Another way is also participating in policies that come up before council. So those are two big levers. And in our new form of government, we're going to have different kinds of opportunities. Things are still being formed. And until we know who our new council is, our next council, they're going to have a huge hand in shaping what those city council meetings will look like, when they will be held, where they will be held. My hope is that they will be held in the evenings when more people can attend, that are working people, like the majority of us. And also that we have the ability to engage differently with different languages, that we have the ability to ensure we have enough public communication time, because in my experience at the start of council, when we have those signups for public communication, sometimes that is the most direct, cutting through all the barriers, opportunity that residents have to actually look in the eyes of the electeds and actually say something. And sometimes it can lead, like I think the pressure of the moment, and that it's actually being filmed and people are streaming. It's a real opportunity to cut through and actually get either answers or capture the attention of the elected staff and get answers or get something moving right away. Not in all cases, but in a lot of times, I know that we like to offer that when we can. So that how council is structured, the district offices, those are all really exciting opportunities that have yet to take shape. So it matters who gets elected in those seats. The second thing I would say is under the mayor's purview, one of the single biggest changes that I want to make and start moving on, and thankfully we've raised the issue up enough since I've been here that they're finally actually studying it right now, is moving from a 1-year budget to a 2-year budget. And I think that is critically important because as we see sort of at the state legislature, having a 2-year cycle, yes, there's a compression of pressure and tension around that cycle. However, what it does is it gives the city and community the runway to do more planning, to do more advocacy, to do more studying of outcomes, to actually see if something is proving out, if that investment is proving out or not. It gives you enough time on either end. Right now, when we finish the budget, it's time to start the budget up again. So we have no real, in my opinion, thoughtful, measured analysis to actually look at the outcomes, right? Because we're already planning for the next cycle, and it doesn't give us enough runway, but it also doesn't give us enough ability. If we need to pivot, then what do we do and how do we do it so that we're doing no harm to anyone, right? So I think that the 2-year budget will give us tremendous opportunity to actually spend more time in community, do more actually community education about budgeting, which I think we suck at right now. I think that part of what we do, we're not doing community education at all. I mean, I think we do some things that we have the capacity and we try to do, and we do 3 budget forums, but that's not really cutting it at all. It's really who can show up at that one time. And from what I see, folks that come and testify a lot are folks that already know the system. And we're not really capturing what a lot more of the folks in the neighborhoods and in this community think, that maybe don't know how to access those things. So I think that runway would give us more time to actually have more people with lived experience, more people who aren't connected in some way to actually have their say about what values. It also gives the city time to adequately explain what the trade-offs of the different investments are as well, so that people understand what they're advocating for and what the trade-off might be, and if that's worth it to them.
Thank you so much for that. This is the first time I've heard such a really bold and amazing idea to educate community to be able to get involved in this process that sometimes does feel very overwhelming.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing a little bit about opportunities to change the way that folks can even participate too. So thank you for saying that. I know there's been some conversations over the years about, like, we have to move to the evening, or do we have it in the east side? Like,
Yes.
what does it look like?
That's right.
It's been difficult. So I definitely appreciate that. A question that we've been asking and talking to folks about around community safety, and hearing your vision about how it's not just for the first responders, that we all have a hand in it. Do you have any ideas, or are you thinking a little bit about what that would look like for each bureau, or even maybe within each kind of division? I know there's like new things underneath the deputies now, and what would it look like for folks to take a hand in community safety, or at least start using the language?
Yeah, I think that the city has definitely embraced the language around community safety. And some folks don't quite understand the huge differences, distinctions between community and public safety. So I say both so that people everywhere knows exactly what we're talking about, the encapsulation of the totality. But I also think that there's a new program that is happening now and has been maybe for I would say at least over the last year, that holds a lot of promise. And I think it was piloted out at first through the mayor's office, but it's like a problem solving program. And I think actually it is called Problem Solvers, unless they have a new name now. But they sort of do like, have you heard about, or it's called Portland Solutions, that's what it's called. And so what they do is they take an issue that has multiple challenges and complexities and does like a SWOT analysis around that issue, and they pull in the different bureaus and the different folks together to address collectively and holistically that issue. And sometimes it could be a community safety issue in a part of town, or it could be the gamut, really. But what I have noticed as a result of a couple of those things, it's taken some situations where there was maybe high conflict, not a lot of trust. It could be around siting of safe rest villages, or it could be around some other issue. But they have the ability and the time to actually bring people from different corners together and work through the process. We should be doing that anyway, but it's finally, we have the right people in the right roles. And I think ultimately that would be my theme around having a new a community safety vision, is the right people at the right roles, because we need all of it. Another one is to really fully capacitate Portland Street Response to be the model that it was intended to be. It has gone through political upheaval. It has been batted about like a political piñata among different commissioners, which is really disappointing to see, because there's a clear community need. And I think that we just need to capacitate it to where it needs to be, and it needs to serve the full city and 24 hours a day. And I think that we would see the outcomes that we know that it could have. Budget and funding is a whole other issue right now, but we need to hold the vision, and we can't be talking about like restricting it or diminishing it, because it was clearly something that filled a very specific gap and need that we still have today. And that's why I advocated very strongly for moving it out of under Renee Gonzalez's purview in connection to the Fire Bureau, because it shouldn't be competing for resources in the Fire Bureau. It should be seen complementary. And if it's not going to get the political attention and support it needs, then it needs to be somewhere where it will.
Thank you so much.